we talked before the game about perhaps, Aberdeen might not live up to the expectations that they've built up since the start of the season. But you mentioned it there at the top of this one. They more than did. They were excellent tonight. They really fulfilled their pre-match favourites tag.
And we also said before the game that it had been, the people that have watched Aberdeen this season, I've not seen them as often as other lads. But it was evident, we said it in the pre-match show, that if this game's level with 20 minutes to go, he'll make changes, Jimmy Tilleen, and he'll go for it. Now, Rangers equalised, and most times you'd be thinking, okay, Aberdeen could have had this one, the missed penalties turned the game, they've lost an equaliser, dig in and get a point, make sure you don't lose it. If you're not going to win it, don't lose it. That wasn't how Aberdeen thought at all. Basically, when it went to one each, Aberdeen just reinvigorated themselves and went again. Mm-hmm. And listen, we'll no doubt come on to Rangers, how poor they were, and just an inability to sustain. They came out at the start of the second half, as you would expect, had a bit of a flurry, had a bit more intensity about them. But it wasn't enough. That Nejan Bezrami's goal should have really lifted them and pushed them on, and they didn't carry it through.
But before we go on to Rangers, Swan, just on Aberdeen, you mentioned Thielen. Not only does he, his boldness and his ability to change games, but see the way he's, breathed new life into players that previously you'd have thought they don't have much of a future at Aberdeen. I mean, even Shayden Morris tonight getting the winner.
Yeah,
I mean,
unbelievable.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Papi Guy obviously has been the sort of poster boy for that, hasn't he, with the brilliant start he had to the season. But Morris has been making constant impacts, all the way through. Signed by Jim Goodwin, not going nowhere. Really struggling at the time with Neil Warnock, which it just wasn't happening at all. Now you look at me, just looks completely different, and this is just something that's just coursing through this whole Aberdeen squad. Players who are improving, and again, apologies for dragging it back to Rangers. But a lot of the things Philip Clement has been saying about needing time and bedding players in and things like that, Jimmy Tilleen is blowing it out the water. He's utterly blowing some of that stuff out the water from Philip Clement. It does not reflect well on him, what Jimmy Tilleen's doing here.
Oh, well, on Rangers then, you were at the game, obviously, Swanee. Was the performance as bad as the result?
Absolutely dreadful in the first half. Now, credit to Aberdeen. Aberdeen made it that way. I mean, I don't know how it looked on the television screens. To us at the game, Rangers were second best all over the pitch. Second to everything. Aberdeen just looked hungrier. They just looked more at it. Rangers were throwing themselves at last-minute blocks, trying to saving tackles. It was just frantic, constantly frantic around the penalty area. The tone was set early doors when, Esther Soccer basically bullied Leon Balogun and put a chance on a plate for Jamie McGrath, and James Tavernier's having to fly in and make a last-ditch block. It's just like that for the entire first half. The Rangers front players got nowhere. The midfield, fair play to Conor Barron, he took a lot of stick tonight, as he was always going to take, and he never shirked it. The other two boys in there, Raskin and Lawrence, nowhere. Rangers improved a bit in the second half. At the start of the second half, I think the introduction of Dujon Sterling made a difference. Duke was beginning to tie up already down that left-hand side, but all of a sudden, Dujon Sterling being on pushed him back, and that allowed James Tavernier to come forward a bit more, and there was a lot more success for Rangers down that side. But it's just the fact that Rangers didn't sustain it. They get their tails up and listen, us guys have watched enough and we've been to enough games. When a team scores first against the Old Firm, and then the Old Firm get level, it's Alamo stuff as the Old Firm go charging for the winner.